see how it tastes. It's pretty good. Hello everybody, it's Randy here with Jacob's Triangle. Welcome to the channel. Today we are working on getting some ribs ready for smoking in the morning, so I'm going to put some rub on them tonight and let them sit in the refrigerator overnight to absorb or soak in the goodness of the rub. The rub is a recipe that I found online. It's called Best Odds Rib Rub. I'll put a link down in the description to the recipe for you so you can make it too if you want. One thing that I will tell you about this recipe is that it calls for a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, which is, if you have people with tender mouth, it's pretty spicy. I doubled the recipe and I still don't use a full tablespoon or teaspoon. It's a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Tablespoon would kill people. So it's a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and I double the recipe and still don't use a full teaspoon. And I don't have too many people complain about it being too spicy. It is a very good rub. It is made by, I believe the chef's name is Derek Riches. So like I said, I'll put a link to the recipe down in the description down below. Now let me show you how we rub. I've already done a few of them. I'm going to do the last one now and let you see how I do it. Let me bring you right in here. There we go. Okay, now I do it basically the same way that you would do when you're doing breading of like chicken for frying or whatever, where you do one hand wet and one hand dry. It's the way that I do my rub. So you sprinkle your rub on one hand and get it on there all over. Make sure everybody gets some love. There we go. I stack my ribs on, as you can see. Got it stacked on some, I hope you can see. Come on, baby. Cellophane wrap. The reason I do that is, as soon as I'm done getting the ribs rubbed, I wrap them up to put them in the fridge, because the wrap keeps the moisture on the meat, keeps the rub on the meat. It doesn't get all over the refrigerator. You definitely don't want to make a mess all over the fridge. It's being cantankerous right now. Okay, there we go. I'm doing 4 racks of ribs. Make sure that you get all the edges too. Everybody needs some love. I don't want no bare parts. There we go. Come on, get on there. At the end. There we go. I'm going to put these on the smoker tomorrow morning about 7 o'clock, and they're going to be on there for about 6 hours. Sometimes I like to do my ribs a little bit longer. I like to go, up to 8 hours, but 6 hours is pretty good. And you put it on there liberally. Don't be afraid to put it on there. When it goes in the smoker, some of it as it dries, it'll fall off. But it makes a nice crust on the ribs too as they cook. Make sure that all your edges are covered. Nothing worse than unseasoned ribs. Okay, there we go. Okay, when you're done, your hands are a mess. Even my dry hand got a little bit dirty, so I give it a wash. Now it's time to wrap them up in the cellophane. And it's very simple. Fold your edges over, fold your edges over. And I do it, shake whatever excess rub has gotten out into the cellophane. I shake it up next to the meat. because we don't care if the cellophane's seasoned, we want the meat seasoned. Okay, I have a hole in the middle. Get me another piece of plastic. And finish wrapping it up. It off. Okay, I'm gonna put that on there. Flop it over. Close it all up nice. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to put these on a cookie sheet. Bring it back over here so you can look at my beautiful face. Okay. So then put it on the cookie sheet. The cookie sheet goes in the refrigerator overnight. In the morning I will get up and get the smoker fired up, get it up to temperature, and then I'll put the ribs on there and let them, like I said, I let them sit in there and smoke for probably 5 to 6 hours. So I'll see you in the morning. Good morning. We're ready to fire up the smoker now. I've gotten up and I've cleaned it up a little bit already and got it ready to start. What I have here is, got the chimney in here ready to be filled with charcoal, and then light it off. I'll go ahead and get that charcoal in there. I use charcoal for lighting or for firing the smoker because it gives good heat. There's some people that like to use wood instead, use strictly wood for smoking, which is fine. I just prefer to use charcoal. Open up my side door here. Give it some fire. I'll let that go for a little bit and get a good start on those briquettes. And while that's happening, while we're waiting for that to get started, I'll go ahead and finish cleaning up the grates and get the smoker ready for the ribs to go on. As you can see, the charcoal is starting to get ashy looking on top. This is what we want. This means that this charcoal is ready to be put down into the firebox. I've got my thermometer set up on the top shelf right now to see how hot the inside of the smoke chamber is. And let me show you that. Right now we are at, you see that? 268 degrees, which is a little bit warmer than you want to be for smoking. You want to stay between 225 and 250. This is the thermometer that I'm using. It's available from Amazon. I'll post a link of it down in the description. But I like this one because of the dual probes. I have two levels in the smoker that I need to monitor, so I'll put one probe in the top and one probe in the bottom so I can make sure that I maintain the correct temperature for both of them. Now as far as the temperature now, we're just jumped up to 270. When I open the lid up to put the ribs on, we're going to lose a lot of that heat and it's going to have to build it back up again. On the smoker, you can control your heat a lot with your chimney up here on the top. Let's see if I make sure that chimney up here on top, because it's got the little valve there that you can open and close. You open it up to let heat out, close it up to increase the heat. So I'll have that. It's a hot day today, so that's going to spend a lot of time open. Once I get going on the smoking, get the ribs in there, they're going to stay in there, like I said last night, probably 5 to 6 hours. We're probably looking at closer to 5 hours now. And I will come out here probably once every hour or so, and I'll add a little bit of briquettes to it and a couple of chunks of hickory. I got hickory because that's what was available locally, You can use different types of woods when you're smoking ribs. I'm doing pork ribs, so you can do like, you know, fruit woods for smoking, or hickory, mesquite, you know, whichever you like. There's some rules that, you know, say, oh, you have to use this type of wood for this type of meat, and I don't know how much you really have to stick to that. Now, I know I've talked to some people who have been afraid of smoking ribs because, you know, they're an expensive piece of meat. I don't want to ruin it. Well, the way I see it, it's really difficult to ruin a piece of meat in the smoker. I have done it. I've ruined some chicken breasts because I smoked them too long. But for the most part, you know, meats like ribs, because they have a high fat content to them, and they're self-basting in the smoker, so they stay pretty moist. And if you keep your temperatures, you know, in the proper range, which is, you know, 225 to 250 is about where you want to be for, you know, 5 or 6 hours. You can go up to 8 hours if you want. But if you're somebody that doesn't like a heavy smoke flavor in your meat, all you have to do is cut back on the amount of hickory or smoke wood that you put in there. You know, what I'm going to do is every time, you know, every hour that I come out here and I check it, I'm going to add some more briquettes, and I'll probably add a couple more chunks of smoke wood to it. If you don't want it heavily smoked, you can add less smoke wood, or just add a little bit of smoke wood in the beginning and then just leave it to cook throughout the rest of the duration of your smoke period. It's completely up to you. You can control the amount of smoked flavor you have in your meat. Now, I have cheated a little bit because the paprika that I used in the best odds rub is a smoked paprika. So I have a little bit of a head start on smoke flavor there. So with all that said, it is time for me to go get the ribs out here and get them on the grill. Now I got the rib set in there. Now it's time for me to set my probe. I'll put it there like that. Okay. We got that one in place. We'll get our pliers because, believe it or not, this stuff is hot. Unwrap our other package of ribs. And once again, get the tail away from the fire. There we go. Set that out of the way. Put our other probe on. Put the probe there. Close the lid. It's heating back up. We're up to 100 on the top, 77 on the bottom. 111. Okay, we're coming back up to temperature. I'm probably going to do, I'll close this top up to bring our temperature up a little bit faster. Got an alarm set at 225, so once we get to 225, it's going to sound an alarm to let me know that we're up to temperature. So once we're up to temperature, I'm going to probably add a few more pieces of charcoal, and I'll get my smoking wood in there. I may put my smoking wood in there before. And we'll come back and check it about halfway through, because I'm going to turn them over and rotate them top to bottom so everybody gets cooked evenly. So y'all come back. We are about halfway through now, so it's time to rotate and turn the ribs. So let's go ahead and do that. And down. Alright, there you go. We should have got a good view of what the ribs look like halfway through. Now I'm going to put some more smoking wood and briquettes, charcoal, in the firebox and let it go for a couple more hours. And then when it's done, I'll pull them out and we'll take a look at them and give them a taste too. Okay. The air conditioner shut off now so you can hear me. Get our grates out of the way and get these last two out of the bottom. God. Looking good. You see I put some corn on here. I decided to try to smoke the corn. I prepared the corn the same way that if you watch my video, I'll put a link to my roasting corn in the oven video. I prepared it the same way, except instead of putting it in the oven, put it in the smoker. And I put it in the smoker for an hour because we're cooking at a lower temperature here. So, there we go. We'll take it inside and cut it up and see what it tastes like. Okay, now to cut them up, you get a sharp knife, you go in between the bones, cut it off. Oops, don't let it fall in the sink though. Guess that'll be my sample one. Tell me that those don't look delicious. This here is where you get into the backbone, and it's a little bit tougher to cut. There we go. Oops, it's falling off the bone. There we go. And I'll cut up the rest of them. And okay, so as I've said before, if you've been on the fence about doing ribs because you think they're expensive and that you don't want to ruin them, ribs are one of the most forgiving pieces of meat that you can smoke. Give it a try. And like I said, if you don't want to be as smoky, use less smoke wood when you cook them. See how it tastes. It's pretty good. Okay. Until next time, thank you for joining us. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit the bell down there so you get notified when I make new videos. I'll be doing more stuff like this, along with more corn recipes and all kinds of other homesteading stuff. So you'll want to subscribe to see all that. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.